So I haven't made like a book review video in a long time. So I'm going to do a whole bunch. For every book review that I give, whether it's a positive one or a negative one, I'm going to go on Goodreads and go through like my friends and people who I actually rely on and find like if it's a positive review that I give, I'll show a negative review. If I give a negative review, I'll show a positive review, just so you guys can have like a second opinion, because I feel like I have my own biases in books and I have my own, you know, ways I like to view books, and I feel like the best way to tell if a book is really good is to get one positive review and one negative review, compare it and see how the two people interpret it, so you have a complete idea of what you're getting into. And also, we're going to start doing a book poll, because that's something I can keep track of in a really easy way and it won't confuse my brain. So, like I said, I'm going away to England in September. People who ask, I'm going to Canterbury. It's going to be awesome, like totally just be wild, and I'm so excited. But I'm not bringing any books with me because I have my Nook, so I don't need to bring books with me. But I am bringing one special book, Battle Royale, because I've never read this book and I want to. So this is going to be my only like real me book for when I'm over there. Like my Nook will be there, but this is really like, this is going to be like my airplane read. With that being said, so currently now I'm reading the third book in the Game of Thrones series, which is A Storm of Swords, and oh my god, this series is fucking amazing, and I want the show to come back on now, but that's not important. Anyway, so I'm not reading Battle Royale for now, and I'll probably finish that book in like 2 or 3 days. So what I want to do is I'm going to pick 2 books, and you guys can tell me which one you think I should read next. The book Rampant is by Diana Peterford. I probably slaughtered her last name, I'm very sorry. It's the Evil Unicorn book. Yeah. And Elixir is that book by Hilary Duff. And I really want to read the book because, like, you know, I don't hate Hilary Duff, and I just figure, like, it'd be interesting to see what she can actually do. I mean, there are plenty of people who are, like, professional writers who can't write. So who might I say that Liz McGuire / Wendy can't write a book? So cast your vote for either of those two. It'll be awesome. And now, the first book I'm reviewing is the Bitch Posse by Martha O'Connor. I hate reading the covers of stuff. I hate reading the rest covers. Basically, this is a book that I found somehow on Oh No They Didn't. I don't know how I even found it, but I saw it and the title kind of intrigued me, so I wanted to read the book. It's an adult novel. This is Martha O'Connor's first book, and it really is the kind of book I should probably hate. You know, that kind of Lifetime public school special about the 3 white outcasts who were disenfranchised with their society and they have to rebel and blah blah blah. Like, that kind of story is just really like, it's overplayed to the point of where MTV has decided to make like every single real non-reality show about being awkward and being disenfranchised in high school. And you know what? You know, we had Beavis and Butthead, we had Daria, we basically have done all that in the 90s. And there seems to be this trend of kind of like idolizing being like an outcast, as if like some people weren't just... It's become a whole phenomenon. So when I was reading this book, I really felt like I should really not like it that much. I really just read it because I was curious. It kind of reminded me kind of the Virgin Suicides. But when I was reading it, I was really into it. Like the stories of each of these girls, and I think what was hard for me was just like, when you see how their lives were turned out as adults, it's one thing, and you're seeing them like dealing with like their lives, and then you go back and you see how they were before and how different things were, but you see the roots of what has turned them into these women that they are, you know, today. It's kind of like almost hard to deal with. You really want to scream at them. Like, I remember reading specifically Rennie's story, thinking, oh my god, just stop now. Like, it's because when they're teenagers, it's in 1988, and when they're adults, it's in 2003. So I'm looking at her in 1988, thinking to myself, stop it, stop fucking that guy, he's an idiot, and looking at all these women and wondering, you know, how is it going to get so bad? And you get a sense of it in the future segments. The past segments really solidify like how these women became so, you know, confused, and they become more than just, you know, disenfranchised teenagers that they were, because they've grown up since then. You know, they have dealt with that part of their reality, and now they're trying to like become normal, but they're haunted by what they did in the past. And I think like a lot of what you may think the story rides on is figuring out like what did they do, what was it, and you really don't find that out until like the very end. And it's not like insane, like somehow you can maybe see it coming. I really wasn't thinking in that degree, because the book for me was never really about like what did they do. It was about like watching these girls self-destruct and wondering what happened to the friendship that you see in the beginning, why that broke up. And while it has something to do with the mystery, it has more to do with what happened as a result of that incident happening, especially what it did to certain characters. And I feel like that is what pulled me in. And the whole idea of them just all being strong together and being, and that strong female friendship that they had slowly coming apart towards the end was kind of painful to read, because you see them in the past, how great it worked, and the future is so bleak, and you want it to be better, but you know what's gonna happen. It's really, really like interesting. I don't think, however, it was that amazingly written. It really depends on whether or not you can get sucked into the idea of these characters. It really rides on you just being entranced by the story, because the story of them is really good, but you have to kind of be into it to like the story. I was reading this when I was on the train. I was taking the MTA north to Poughkeepsie. So this is when I was reading this book, and I finished this in one day, despite what it says on my Goodreads account. Like, I read this book in one day, because I was, not only was I not reading this, but I was zoned into it. Like, usually I don't like to read on the train, but this book, I was sucked in. I had my iPod in, and usually when I have my iPod in, I'm like thinking about other things, I don't think about the book. But when I was reading this book, I was into it. I was into the story of these girls and really into their struggles. Even if the writing wasn't always quality, I felt like the story itself was really engrossing, and it made me interested in what was going to happen next. So I give this book 3.5 out of 5. I think it's really interesting. I think it's a fun read. However, it relies on you, the reader, being into the characters. So if you don't like the characters and are not interested in like how they destroyed their lives, there's nothing else to really drag you in. There's no bigger picture. There's no like beautiful metaphors. It's really just depending on these girls. And if you don't like these girls, the story will go nowhere for you. So that's the Bitch Posse.